Welcome to Cigar Time, your friendly Tuesday night show all about cigars. Happy to say we're still number one. We're the largest viewed cigar show in the entire world.
Woo! Yay!
Possibly
In the entire world. In the entire universe.
You don't know that.
Well, we don't have reports in from Venus and
Mars.
Uranus.
Uranus, yeah.
You don't want to report from
Okay, moving along.
You started that one.
Yeah.
Hey, a little housekeeping. A little housekeeping. We have been informed now over the past few weeks that a number of viewers are watching our show in other smoke shops throughout the Delaware Valley, and we're happy for that. You know, we have 9 stores scattered all over the place, but we don't have stores on every single corner. So wherever you watch the show and patronize your local dealer, that's great for us. We hope you patronize us when you're in our areas, but wherever you buy your smoke, just keep on smoking.
That's right, as long as you're smoking.
As long as you're smoking.
Brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar, yes,
Brick and mortar.
Support your local brick and mortar store. Another thing I might bring up, although we only had one comment about this, the reviews you hear on this show, whether we're promoting the cigar or whether we're not promoting the cigar, are honest reviews. These are our reviews. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But, you know, it doesn't matter whether we're selling the cigar at a good price or whether we're just, you know, showing you and reviewing a cigar you may want to try or a new cigar. The panel smokes them and the panel talks them. And there's no buying that. There's no influence. And it's what you see is what you get.
We keep it real. We keep it real.
I think the customers that are watching, our customers, as opposed to those from other shops, already know that about us.
I don't know. We get a lot of people saying that because we're promoting cigars that we're giving them good ratings just to make
A little
sales.
extra,
No.
yeah.
That's
No.
not true at all.
We
I
keep
think
it real
viewers
here.
will have heard enough negative comments from us
Yeah,
what we don't
yeah.
like.
And as I
Right.
recall, I don't recall which cigar
He
it
didn't
was.
like the Renaissance. You didn't like the Rocky Patel Renaissance.
No,
I liked it. It wasn't. It was
Yeah,
not my
but you gave
favorite
it a lower
cigar.
rating, or he
Yeah.
gave it a lower.
and
Somebody
it-
gave it a lower
I
rating.
gave one of them a lower rating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like drinking wine. It's very subjective.
Right.
One man's feast is another man's famine, or ladies, and what you hear is the unvarnished truth. I mean, we call it as we see it. So
Yeah, Rob didn't like the house cigar. Sorry to
Yeah,
he didn't like one.
that's right.
He didn't like. He didn't like one of the many models of our Eduardos.
It's terrible.
On a,
Well, I don't have to rub it in. To go that far.
you don't have to rub it
What do
in.
you want me to say?
Can we smoke some?
Yeah.
Paul's
Paul's getting
I'm
itchy.
falling-
Yeah.
I'm falling apart here.
Paul hasn't smoked in about 15 minutes. So
You
he's-
go ahead and light. You don't have to wait for her
getting
to. Go
desperate.
ahead. You don't have to wait for her to announce it.
The enchanting and lovely Miss Tia will tell us about our first cigar, and we'll light it.
Our first cigar is the Fratello. It's actually one of my newest favorite cigars. It just came out on the market a couple months ago. The wrapper is Nicaraguan. The binder is Ecuadorian Sumatra. And the filler is Nicaraguan and Peruvian. The sizes are Corona, Robusto, Toro, and Tamacle, which is a 6x60, or otherwise known as Gordo. The taste profile are pepper, earth, and sweet notes.
Cool.
This is one of my favorite cigars.
Very good tea.
Thank you.
Puts out a lot of smoke, doesn't it?
Does
Yeah,
put
sure.
out a lot of smoke. Well, lucky we have the smoke heaters on.
Really?
Well, I think it's time for one of our favorite segments based on viewer suggestions. Paul, and you've been in the factory, you've been in the fields, you've been in the bands, you've been in the boxes. I think it's about time maybe you should tell the people those many years ago how you got started in the business.
Well, Art, you know, that's a question I get asked a lot. We get emails about it, and people have been asking me for a long time, so how did you start in this business anyway? And I'll tell you, because it was a crazy thing. After 20 years in the advertising business, but all that time smoking cigars in the same devoted way I do now, a good friend of mine who had a housekeeper from Nicaragua brought me some cigars from Nicaragua. This is back in the mid-90s. One of them I thought was absolutely spectacular. It was one of the best cigars I had ever tasted. It had no name, it had no box, it had no band. So of course I went to the housekeeper and said, where did you get this from and how can I get more? And she told me it was from the market. Being an ignorant gringo, as I am, I thought she meant the supermarket. and my big idea was, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to go to the supermarket and I'm going to ask the manager where this cigar comes from. And that is literally what I did. I booked a flight. I loaded a suitcase full of cash. I told my wife, I'm going down to Nicaragua to find the best cigar in the world and bring it back. She told me I was out of my blanking mind and that I probably would never make it back alive.
And you went anyway.
And I went anyway.
Nice.
Did you make it back alive?
Well, that's a subject
Debatable.
of debate.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I got on the plane. I flew down there. At that point in my life, I didn't even really speak any Spanish. But I got to Managua, checked into a little motel across the road from the airport. And the next morning, I went to the market. And it wasn't a supermarket. It was the market for all of Managua. It was basically the place where all 2 million people from Managua buy everything they buy every day. So there were literally thousands of stalls out in a big field. There were guys roasting coffee. There were guys butchering live cows. There were people carving furniture and women making tortillas and just everything you can imagine. And I spent that entire day from beginning to end walking through this entire massive place, trying to ask people if they had cigars and if they did, where they came from. And a few people did have cigars there. None of them were the one I was looking for, but whenever I asked where they came from, they all told me the same thing. They all said Esteli, that all the cigar factories were in Esteli. So I went back to my little motel, and I went to the one person there, a young guy who spoke some English, and I asked him if I could rent him for a few days and we could go up to Esteli and look at cigar factories.
You can get in trouble for that now.
Renting young
Renting
guys?
young guys?
Yeah, well, not down there.
You can. Wait a minute, you can get in trouble for that?
Yeah, yeah. So you better stop it.
Just a reminder, folks, this is a family show.
Right. So we hopped in a car and we drove the 3 hours, and it was actually quite an adventure. We drove the 3 hours to Esteli, and since we didn't know where any of the factories were, he basically hung out the window of the car yelling, "Donde está la fábricas de tabacos?" Where are the cigar factories? And we were directed to different factories. And this kid was a very sharp kid, because what he did was, at each factory we went to, he would run in first, and he would say, out there in the car is Senor Major, a very important man in the cigar business. And if you show him proper respect, he might buy some of your cigars. And this was his idea. I didn't even think of this. And then I would walk in, and the owners of each factory were all over me, sticking cigars in my pocket, sticking cigars in my mouth, trying to tell me the story of their factory and what they were doing. And my little excursion to Esteli became a 6-week visit. I literally visited virtually every cigar factory in Nicaragua. I was really very welcomed at every one, except Padron, where they chased me away with shotguns. Because, at least at their factory, they were not welcoming guests at all down there at that time. Anyway, the next to last factory I visited was actually, at the time, the largest factory in Nicaragua. It was run by Juan Bermejo. And Juan was a real gentleman, an old line guy in the business. And as soon as I showed him the cigar that I was looking for, he said, "Well, I don't make that, but I know who does. And I'll take you to dinner with him tonight, and then you'll get to meet him." And I met him. Rinaldo Gonzalez de Leon was his name. He was an old Cuban guy, very funny guy. And the next day, I went over to his factory, which was tiny, in a bullet-ridden old building that had barely survived the revolution.
Bullet-ridden, that's safe.
And, of course, he did the same routine. He stuck cigars in my pocket. He stuck cigars in my mouth. And as soon as I lit one, I knew that, in fact, I had found the right cigar. So I bought as many as my suitcase full of cash would pay for, which turned out to be 20,000 cigars. Loaded up my car and my little boy,
You might want to ease off that little boy.
Yeah, little boy.
Yeah, okay. I loaded up my car and my assistant.
I know his wife.
Yeah, okay. And we drove back to Managua. And then began an entirely different process. I basically sat in my motel room with a phone and called every cigar shop that I knew of as a customer, because I smoking 12 cigars a day, you go in and out of a lot of cigar shops.
I'm sure you would.
So I called them all from down there and said, I'm sitting here in Managua with what I think is the best cigar ever, and it's never been imported to the United States, and you better buy some now, because if you don't, they're going to be gone. And because this was in the height of the boom, people were very anxious to get their hands on anything that was worth smoking. So I sold all 20,000 cigars on the telephone, sight unseen. I got on a plane to come home. When I got home, I created a little band on my computer, which was a real challenge. Both of my daughters, who were little girls at the time, started cutting out the bands and gluing them themselves on the cigars. I built some wooden boxes out in my garage and delivered them to the stores that had bought them. And that's how I started in the business.
Wow.
Cool.
A long answer to a short question.
Well, what was that? What was the cigar? Is there anything that we've ever had?
No.
No.
No, it
Did
was
you ever-
before I knew you guys.
Did you ever buy it again?
Yeah, I continued to buy it until Mr. Gonzalez de Leon took orders from several people in the United States for different things he was making that added up to about $2 million. And he took advance payments and disappeared with a 20-year-old American girl.
Really?
And I kid you not, there was a price on his head in Managua.
Wow.
And for years after that, if you went into any car rental agency in Nicaragua, his name was on the top of the bulletin board that showed people who don't pay, so don't rent to them no matter what. So he was infamous down there after that, and I couldn't buy his cigars anymore because he was gone.
He didn't tell you the blend or anything?
No, he didn't tell me
Absolutely
anything except
amazing.
how many do you want and when can you wire me the money.
Did you
Wow.
ever get a card from him?
Yeah.
Postcard?
Yeah,
ever
a
get a-
postcard with a picture
did
of
you
his
ever get a
young
card from a
American
little boy?
girlfriend. No.
No.
All right, there is.
Moving along, I think.
I'm sure he was of age.
I think
Yeah.
we ought to get some comments on the Fratello we're smoking. Yes?
Sure.
Who wants to start out?
Tia does.
I'll start.
Okay.
See, I told you.
Yeah, because this is one of my favorite cigars. I'm getting a plethora of smoke in my mouth. I get to
Wow.
I think that's the second time that's been used on this show.
Oh, has it? I
This is
thought I
getting
was
highbrow.
the first.
Usually I'm the one using the big words.
I love to
Really?
play with
The.
because it gives you a lot of smoke. You can play with it in your mouth. I like that.
You're getting the camera crew all worked up.
Yeah. Bruce just fell on the
Anyway,
floor.
I'm not quite in the middle yet, but in the beginning you get a nice spicy flavor, but it's not too much. It's just enough. The construction is nice. Yeah.
No
Did
comment
you
on the
mention
band?
the band?
The band's
Omar,
okay.
Omar spent years perfecting this band.
This
Yeah.
is a very
The
unique
band
band.
is awesome.
Band's okay.
Oh,
my
wow.
Favorite. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry,
I'm
Omar.
with, you know what? I'm with Tia on the band.
Yeah, it's
Really, I
okay.
love this band.
Omar,
I think it's so
okay.
You
when I
love the
first
band.
when I first met Omar some time ago, he spent a half hour describing what went into
describing
this band.
yeah,
Well, you
what
were
it takes
there.
to,
Well,
what
we
it
would
takes to
love
put
to
the,
know.
how
It doesn't have
Tell
any
us what
gold
happened.
Put the
or
band
silver
on.
in it.
Tell us.
Oh my!
because of the shape of it, it's very unique, and
It is.
they have to match the lines up perfectly. It takes a lot
It's
of
like a
time
good suit. You know, the
to make
stripes
this
gotta
band.
match.
My
Put it
daughters
on.
definitely would not have been able to glue these bands on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because
it's
of the
okay.
band shape. It's
All right, you're forgiven.
you hurt his feelings, I'm sure.
Rob?
I'm so sorry.
I like this cigar. It's very, like Tia said, it's a new cigar. It's very good. I do get the sweetness to it. I do get a little bit of the pepper. I like it. It's very good. It's smooth. So,
Paul?
I find it to be very mild, but the flavors are good ones.
Right.
I taste the pepper. I taste a little bit of the earth. I definitely taste the sweet
sweet.
notes.
Yeah. yeah.
So it's not an in-your-face cigar, but the flavors are good. That's
Okay.
what I would say.
This is better than the one I've had before.
Yeah.
I have not been a fan of it. I don't know if it's a difference in the. We may have I may have had a different size cigar before.
You're smoking a
perhaps.
Toro right now.
No, this is a Robusto.
Robusto.
It's a Robusto?
It's a
Yeah.
big, it's a big
It's a bigger Robusto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I like this one a lot better than the first one I've had. I agree with everybody on the spice. I think it's almost like a red pepper I'm getting, and I'm getting a full mouthfeel. Like that, like my whole palate is covered
Right.
With the
with
pepper.
flavor. Yeah,
Feel the pepper, yeah.
definitely earthy, and I noticed some leather too. It's like a little bit of a, I
A
don't know.
hint of leather.
Yeah, it's yeah, just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the cigar. It's better than the ones I've had previously.
I get the leather when
Maybe
I
you
blow it
had
through
that
my
Toro
nose.
size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually I don't find it mild at all. I find it more medium
It's actually
to
more
full.
medium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say it's more medium. It's probably on the medium to lower side of medium. But clearly, I don't think I would call it mild. And clearly, the spice is all over my tongue, and the sweet note is a nice finish. This is a very interesting story. Omar works for NASA. He's a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
He also was a former basketball player, and he's about I don't know.
What, 6'9"?
6'9".
Yeah, he's about 6'9".
Gigantic.
He blocks the sun, but he is a great character in our
Nice
industry. He's all over Facebook and Twitter and the
Instagram.
rest of the social media. You can bump into him literally anywhere.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, and I'm going to let Scott tell you he's going to be in our stores in just a few days.
Yeah, he's going to be
He's going to
in
be in Reading.
Reading on Friday.
Reading Friday.
And
So
then
you
he's
get to see me.
and then Colmar and Horsham on Saturday.
Cool.
So that's, when you say Friday, you mean May 2nd?
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Saturday,
Friday,
May
May
3rd.
2nd.
This Friday.
Yeah, it's this Friday. It's this coming Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
making sure everybody knows.
You'll get emails on the times and deals and all that other kind of good stuff. But just Reading, Colmar,
And
and
if you're
Horsham.
not on our email list, get on our email list.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Oh, you go to the website,
Which is where?
on the internet.
cccigars.com.
That's cccigars.com. That's it. Leave me on the
No,
island.
double C.
Double
Cigars.
C cigars.
You forgot your own line.
Oh no!
Cut.
Gotcha.
Where's the website? It's on the internet.
It's on the interweb.
Do we want to rate these or go right into
Yeah.
our
Oh,
topic?
let's
Let's
rate.
rate 'em.
Rate 'em.
Let's rate them. All right, let's start the opposite
All
way.
right.
Let's
Okay.
start with Paul first.
I give it a 4.
All right.
I'll give it a 4.
I think it's better than that. My own opinion, I'd give it at least a 4.25.
I like it more than you guys. I'll give it a 4.5.
That's a
Okay.
good rating.
I'm agreeing with Rob, 4.5.
Yeah, it's a good cigar.
Yeah, it is a
I
good
like the
cigar.
cigar a lot. I really
All right,
do.
so what
And when you
four?
get down to the bottom, you really feel
Exactly
good.
4.25.
What is
It's
it?
exactly 4.25. Was the rating?
Yeah.
He's
Okay,
working on
we'll
his
go with
math
that.
skills.
Well, 2 4s.
It is.
Two fours, two
Two
5s,
Yeah.
No, 4.5.
4.5,
4.5.
and a 4.25.
4.25.
And that's
So that's
straight
4.25 is
4.25.
exactly right.
4.25.
That is correct.
I'm
That is
totally out
correct.
of this one.
No, the 4.25 is correct. Are we done talking
Congratulations.
about the ratings?
Thank you.
Let's throw some 4.38s
Well, that was kind of easy. You
in
throw out the
there.
two top, you throw out the two bottom, and it's the guy in the middle, me.
Oh, yeah, you
there
do
you
do
go.
the median. That's right. Okay. Okay.
All right, our topic for today is going to be cigar trends.
Yeah, we started this last week or a couple of weeks
yeah, I
ago.
thought so.
Last
we got
week-
sidetracked.
Yeah, Paul touched a little bit on one of them, which was the boutique cigars.
The emergence of more and more
Yeah.
of the little companies doing boutique.
Here you go.
Well, yeah, this
We're
is the
doing
perfect
it.
one.
This is
Fratello.
Yeah.
Perfect
Absolutely,
example, yeah.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of really good cigars coming. Now, what we talked about more last week was what makes a boutique. Like, Don Pepin, I think, was considered technically a boutique, but I think what we're talking about is the smaller guys, like
Right.
like Omar, Paul Bush,
Right.
I think,
Panacea, yeah.
Yeah, Panacea. There's the
Esteban
Blanco.
Carrera.
yeah
Blanco.
Blanco.
Yeah, that
David
was it.
Blanco,
David
yeah.
Blanco,
Yeah, we just had an event with him. I think you see a
What about
lot
the
more of
aging
them
room?
coming out. What's that?
The aging
Well,
room.
aging room,
No?
that's a different category because they call themselves boutique blends. That's the name of the
That's the
company.
name of the company, yeah.
Yeah.
But they are a big, established, vertically integrated company, and even
Fratello,
though
isn't it?
even though that brand is a boutique-ish kind of cigar, it's not a boutique company, and there are quite a few of those what I call pseudo boutiques out there
Right.
that are big established companies, but they It's kind of like the micro brew beers, but they actually come from Budweiser.
Yeah, Ying's a microbrew,
Yeah.
Right.
but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big company.
a couple others. There's Pinar Del Rio, I think. I think it's Abe Flores, and then there's also the Emilio, which I think is owned by a guy in Delaware, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of them, and I think that the easiest,
The sizes.
yeah, the sizes. I mean, the big ring gauges.
Yeah, 6 by 6.
Should have brought an asylum
the
in. That 8 by 80.
6 by 80.
Yeah, the 6 by 80.
That's
I'm
a-
waiting for
that's-
who's
that's
coming
a
out
trend.
with
And
who's
the
coming out with a
asylum?
90.
Yeah, it's
Who's
see who can
coming
get
out with a
bigger.
90?
So, I don't know.
Do you guys think? Do you think this is? Do you see this starting to come around more? Are the barber pole cigars?
No.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Evelyn makes
It's like
the bar-
I
Candela.
like them,
it's like
though.
Candela. It's a fad that once
that's
or
what we're
twice
talking
a
about.
year.
So, yeah,
yeah,
it's-
but it
Well,
had,
fad versus trend is.
I don't think it's a trend.
No.
No.
I
I mean,
just- I
CEO's
thought-
been making it in America for, you know, a while.
Yeah, and then there's the ogre. There's there's a smaller
Ogre,
barber
yeah, they
pole.
just came out with it.
Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
somewhere.
Ooh, I
And
wanna see
Rob,
that.
one of your favorite brands
Ah,
ever came in a
Steve.
barber pole years ago.
The,
Years
uh,
ago, a
yeah,
long
the
time ago.
Beethoven?
The Beethoven
Yeah, the
Duet.
Beethoven
That's
Duet. Yeah, that was a
right.
good cigar.
No, that's one of my. I love that cigar.
That's a very
I
good cigar.
really like that
I like
one.
the
And the
Forte,
box was
Beethoven
awesome.
Forte.
Yes,
The boxes,
the
yeah.
boxes.
Piano.
It was a
Piano,
grand
yeah.
piano.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cigar, I know you said you did this on purpose, but you'd open the lid and
And
the
the keys would
cigars
move.
the cigars
The
would
cigars
move.
Yeah.
That was cool. I don't know if you did it on purpose or not.
Yeah,
but
the hinge, well, it wasn't a hinge, but the back of the lid
Right.
lifted up the cigars, so they popped out of the box a
yeah,
little bit.
it was really cool.
It was cool.
I
Yeah.
think I noticed
It
that.
was an expensive box.
We still have those. You still have those boxes here somewhere.
Yes.
I think
I
in
think
the
I have
background.
Another one is I'm starting to hear a lot of rumblings on fire cured. Well, we have the San Lucia, but a lot more people are using Kentucky and fire cured tobacco.
Yeah.
The
Drew
Drew.
Estate-
Drew
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 Estate,
Estate has
Yeah.
Yeah.
The KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No.
No.
Kentucky
Kentucky
careful.
fire cured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kentucky
Oh,
Fried
yeah.
Chicken.
They sort of own the rights to KFC.
Yeah, somebody does. Yeah.
As
Yeah,
it
really.
relates to food products, which you also put in your mouth.
And I think Panacea. I think Paul's experimenting with something with the Kentucky and some fire cured.
Really.
There-
I've actually
You
I
did that
had
years
say
ago.
something
Didn't you
about-
do that years
There
ago?
the very first brand, again, years ago, to use fire-cured pipe tobacco, long filler, in a cigar, was the S. Holmes, the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
Really.
that was a great cigar. I
And
loved
that
it.
was years
good.
ago, too.
I wasn't a fan.
Oh, I liked it. It had a unique taste.
Sorry, Paul.
It did have a unique.
I,
It
I,
had a really
yeah,
unique
that's my
taste.
unique thing. I
Tobacco.
don't like the flavor. I don't like the flavored tobacco cigar. The
He's a
tobacco,
traditionalist.
the pipe flavored.
He's a traditionalist.
I like cigars. What do you want to do?
do you
That
like
was
the
a
do you
cigar.
like the fire cured stuff
Oh my
so far?
goodness.
I
What do you think that is?
not really.
Okay.
Like the KFC from
The
from
Kentucky
Jewish
Fried
States.
Chicken.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
See, I like it because it's different.
Different, yeah.
It's not artificially flavored, so to speak. Like
Right.
It's, like they're not like spraying it
Yeah,
with sugar or
And it's
anything.
not like the acid line.
Right.
well,
but
yeah.
still, I'm just not a fan of that.
No.
Just like
Oh,
I'm like
that's okay.
traditional smoke.
For the most part, I am too. I liked it. I liked the San Lucia. I liked the KFC, and I did have a sample of the one Paul Bush did. It was
Was
very
it good?
interesting. Yeah, I thought it was very
I
good.
like
yeah.
to try. I mean, I'm not adverse to trying it.
Right.
But I don't know. Just not.
The
not
interesting
me.
thing about that is that fire-cured pipe tobaccos are as diverse as cigar tobaccos.
Right.
So, as a blending exercise, you can wind up with things as wildly different as you do in regular cigars, even though it's not flavored, even though it's just different kinds of pipe tobacco,
Yeah, I think-
fermented and cured different ways.
It's probably tough to use because you want. I don't know if you want the. Well, I guess it's up to the blender, but if you may not want the fire cured to be the overwhelming flavor. You may want to. I think a lot of them
Just
try
be
to
a
have
subtle note.
Exactly.
It's got to be a tough blending process.
Oh, I imagine it'd be very difficult.
It is, but I'll tell you what, the cigars that use a good amount of pipe tobacco are amongst the only cigars that you can smoke in mixed company and the women won't complain
Right,
about the
that's
smell.
true.
That's a good point.
Most
That's
women
true.
Yeah,
really like the
that's true,
smell of
that
pipe
really is.
That's a good
tobacco.
point.
I heard somewhere, I don't know if it's true, the natural, is that pipe tobacco from Drew?
I
No,
don't know that.
no. It's
I heard it was
still
black
infused.
tobacco.
It's still infused, from what I understand. It's still infused with the scented oils, but not as much. I don't know how that works.
You know, an interesting question. We're discussing cigar trends. You know, what is the difference between a trend and a fad? I mean, truly, what is the difference?
Fad is something
I
that
think
fades away.
I think
A trend is something
Well,
that
a trend. I think a fad would be like the nub cigars. It's hot for real short period of time and then goes
Kind of
away.
Yeah, but
fades
that was
away.
that. But wait a minute. The nub has been selling for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, but not like the 6x60. 6x60, I think, would be a trend.
I think the difference between in the cigar business between a fad and a trend is if a brand comes out with something unusual, even if people like it and it stays around a while, it's a fad unless other companies wind up moving in that direction. So
Then it's a
then,
trend.
then it's
Then
a
it's a
trend.
trend?
Then the industry, like bigger ring gauges in general.
Right.
Yeah, but they all chase their tails. I mean,
Yeah.
when the nub first
What
came
about
out,
fuller sizes? I mean, fuller body cigars.
well, that
That's
is
been a
cyclical.
trend.
Yeah.
That's more cyclical.
Yeah.
that might be more fatty. Yeah. I guess if it's cyclical, well then how does it move from at the same time from a trend to a standard?
Yeah.
I think
I
actually.
think a 6x60 is
I
not a
think-
trend
Yeah,
anymore.
it's not a trend anymore.
I think the trend of more fuller body is actually moving away from fuller body and coming back to more medium and mild cigars.
I think you're right, Art. I think the leading edge of the
Yeah.
business these days is more flavor and less power.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that's the way it should be.
I think that a fad is something that's in a short period of time. A trend is a longer period of time, and then it becomes standard.
Yeah, I think
Like a
I would
6 by
agree with that.
60.
And
Let's talk about cigars.
It is. We are.
Well, we are.
But
But
that's, you know.
what Tia mentioned with the full bodied, like I traditionally like a more full bodied cigar, but it doesn't, the strength or the body doesn't matter to me as long as it has a lot of flavor. And
Right.
if they come out with a medium or a mild cigar that has a lot of flavor,
Like
Well,
this.
that's-
business,
I'm all for it.
This business has dramatically evolved. I mean, 50 years ago, the cigar business was mostly Candela, smaller sizes, a lot of Perfectos. I mean,
yeah, the Colorado wrapper was a fad or a trend at one
Yeah,
point,
exactly.
Right. Exactly.
and now it's everywhere.
English market, EMS, was almost the exclusive wrappers of English cigars. I
why
mean,
it
made
was
for the
EMS.
English market.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
now,
it was back then it was little green cigars.
yeah, little green cigars,
Like
were
little
the
green
norm.
men, yeah.
Was that Havana
From
Clear? Is that
No, well, I mean, Havana Clear was one of them. That
Okay.
was made, but Havana Clear was made in a factory in Tampa from Havana, from reasonably priced Havana tobacco. They called it Havana Clear, but it was an American cigar actually. It was made
An
in
American-made
this country.
cigar,
Yeah, okay.
usually
This
with a
country.
Connecticut wrapper.
I don't believe this.
No.
We're almost out of time.
I know, I see
we get talking about these things. I hope you're enjoying
Well,
this
yeah, I was-
conversation.
yeah.
look? That was the whole idea of the show.
Oh, okay.
I mean, no, the concept was, the concept was us just sitting
Should I
around
do this
talking.
now, just real quick.
Oh, that's what it is.
Oh yeah, we have to
Original-
show.
You know,
Well, we want to
Original,
remind
yeah.
you. We want to remind you. We have 9 stores, and Scott's going to tell you where they're all at.
Oh, good Lord. I'll do it with Rob's. Got Horsham,
Phoenixville.
Phoenixville,
Horsham,
Colmar,
Phoenixville.
Reading, Oxford Valley, Freehold, Westchester, Fraser, and Ludwig's
There you
Corner,
go.
Glenmore, Malvern, whatever you want to
Oh,
call it.
whatever. And you can learn all about that on our website, which is at doublecigar.com.
Thank you.
Time to say goodbye.
Say bye-bye,
How long do I
cigars.
have? Do I have a quick second?
second.
I
No,
just want to
no.
say, okay, bye.
Ciao for now, everybody.
smoke often and smoke happy.
Life's too short to smoke cheap cigars.
Yeah!
Hi, Mom.
And try to buy your fair share from us. Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye-bye.